Thank you all so much for coming out this afternoon. Wanted to give you information on this case. It looks like everybody's covered it, but what we do have is video from last night from her arrest. This is the suspect you'll see. I'll let you guys get video there, and of course we'll be sending this to your desks as well. That suspect there is Kaylee Renee Medina. I'll give you the spelling on her name shortly. She's 26 years of age. This all happened last night while we were in the midst of the community event out at Alamo Ranch, and we do appreciate everybody coming out and covering that for us last night. But we shot this video last night and wanted to share it with you today. So Miss Medina is currently in the Bexar County Jail for robbery, which is a second-degree felony. But this case stems from a site called seekingarrangement.com, where the suspect in this case, a 61-year-old male, met this young lady on that site. And my understanding about this site is it's sort of a dating site where, looking at the site itself, is where beautiful people and wealthy people get together. Words to that effect. What it appears to be is one of these, for lack of a better term, sugar daddy type sites where people with money meet up with younger people that need money and make some sort of an arrangement to date or what have you, sometimes for financial compensation of some sort. In my world, we have another word for that, but we know that in November they met, some 4 weeks ago. They actually initially went out to dinner on November 11th. That dinner, although it sounds like it was an expensive dinner, ended without incident. And the victim in the case didn't hear anything from the suspect in the case until 2 nights ago on November 21st. At 2:30 in the morning, the victim reports that he was at home. He heard a knock on his door. It was the suspect. He answered the door, and the victim came in. He allowed her in, or the suspect came in. She began drinking wine, and they began conversing. During the course of that conversation, the suspect asked the victim for $2,000 cash. He told her he just didn't have that kind of money handy. She then, I believe, started tearing up his apartment, and you know, at some point she doused him with laundry detergent, which got into his eyes, and my understanding is it actually caused pretty severe chemical burns to his eyes and incapacitated him. While he was incapacitated due to the detergent that was in his eyes, the suspect began ransacking the apartment, destroying things, purposely just destroying things, but also stealing his passport ID, an Apple Pro Max iPhone, a surveillance camera, and a Dyson hairdryer. They were all stolen. She left the apartment. The victim was able to crawl out and cry for help, at which point one of his neighbors heard him and then contacted law enforcement, and we were able to get all the information. Now, thankfully, because he knew who she was, it really made it quite simple on us. Last night, our organized crime group and our CID folks executed a warrant at her home in northwest San Antonio. Initially, she did not answer the door, but they made a forced entry to the residence, and she was, lo and behold, she was there at the residence. They did recover at least some of the stolen property, and as I mentioned, she has now been booked into the Bexar County Jail. This young lady has actually got a pretty extensive criminal history. DWI times 3, so she's at a felony level DWI. She has been arrested for intoxication assault, aggravated assault on a security guard from a 2020 case. I've seen media reports about that, where she was involved in some sort of a shooting at a nightclub where a security guard was shot. So she's certainly no stranger to the law. What we're hoping for is that she stays in jail for some time at this point. You know, we will do everything in our power to make sure that happens before she ends up getting out and hurting somebody else. Anoche, aproximadamente las 8 de la noche, esta sospechosa fue arrestada por un robo que hizo. Se llama Kaylee Renee Medina, 26 años de edad. Se aparenta que la víctima, un hombre de 61 años de edad, conoció a esta mujer en un sitio del internet donde gente con dinero se conocen con gente más gente que necesitan dinero. Ellos se ponen de acuerdo, hacen arreglos entre ellos, si van a salir a cenar o lo que sea, pero ellos se ponen de acuerdo dinero por algún acto que ellos van a hacer. Se aparenta que la sospechosa se conoció con la víctima hace 4 semanas. Ellos sí salieron a cenar una vez, cuando menos una vez, el día 11 de noviembre. La víctima nos dice que él no ha visto la sospechosa hasta que ella llegó a su casa de él el día 21 de noviembre, aproximadamente las 2:30 de la mañana. Ella le tocó la puerta a la víctima. Ya cuando él la reconoció, la dejó entrar al apartamento, ella empezó a tomar vino y empezaron a hablar. Ella le pidió $2,000 prestados a la víctima. La víctima le dijo obviamente que él no tiene dinero en efectivo, tanto así para darle. Ella empezó a destrozar cosas, artículos personales de la víctima dentro de su casa de él. Ella en algún momento le tiró jabón para lavar ropa y el jabón le entró a los ojos a la víctima. Las químicas en el jabón le quemaron los ojos. Él ya en esos momentos, mientras que ella siguió destrozando su casa de él no pudo ver, no pudo escaparse él. Entonces ella se robó varios artículos personales de mucho valor y ella huyó de la casa. La víctima alcanzó a salir de la casa y ya él pidió auxilio de algunos vecinos. Ellos le hablaron al policía. Ya nosotros empezamos a tomar el reporte. La víctima ya sabía el nombre de esta mujer, de la sospechosa, y nos dio dónde ella vivía y todo. Anoche nosotros ejecutamos una orden de cateo en la casa de ella, en el noroeste de la ciudad de San Antonio. Ella al principio no contestó la puerta cuando nosotros llegamos con la orden, pero ya le tomamos la puerta y ya de allí logramos arrestarla. Y ella ahorita se enfrenta con este cargo de robo. Ella tiene bastantes arrestos en su récord. Ya tiene 3 arrestos por manejar ebria. Ya está al nivel de felonía y ya asalto con agravantes a causa de intoxicación, asalto con agravantes contra un guardia de seguridad en un centro nocturno. Esta mujer simplemente es criminal y ella ya tiene varias veces que nosotros la hemos arrestado. Ojalá y ahora se vaya a quedar en la cárcel. Any questions?
This type of crime, this didn't end bad, but getting acts like that, looking for sugar daddies and stuff like that, how dangerous is that?
I mean, look, you don't know who you're hooking up with, and you know the person on the other end of that may be a young, attractive person that you know appeals to people, but yet this person is clearly somebody that's dangerous. You know, you're right. I mean, this gentleman didn't end up with chemical burns in his eyes. He's lucky he didn't end up dead as a result of this, because you just never know. Or quite frankly, you know, it certainly wouldn't be outside the realm of possibilities that some sort of criminal enterprises uses a young lady like this that may be attractive to some to lure somebody into a situation where they're then jumped by a group and robbed or killed. I can sit here and just think off the top of my head 50 different scenarios that could come, and none of them are good as a result of that. And so look, we realize that there's people that are out there that are lonely and want to meet somebody. I would say that you know, maybe these sites where you're making some sort of a financial arrangement where people know that you've got a certain prestige, a certain amount of money, maybe that's not the best thing in the world. Although you may end up having a good time as a result of it, you may also be opening yourself up to the dangers associated with it, and you could end up paying for it with your life. So I would certainly recommend against you know, using sites like this for these purposes.
¿Se sabe la condición de la víctima, de salud de la víctima actualmente?
Pues realmente parece que él se va a recuperar de sus heridas, las quemadas, pero el susto también es algo que obviamente la víctima va a seguir sufriendo con esto. Ojalá y él ya no vaya a usar estos sitios del internet, pero también queremos darle este aviso a toda la comunidad que no está seguro usar estas redes sociales o sitios del internet para conocer gente. Obviamente uno se está poniendo en peligro para que le pase algo. Any other?
¿Hay más casos parecidos como este que están siendo investigados?
Bueno, como este es posible, mira, para mí no me sorprendería saber si hay otros casos, pero alguien porque le da vergüenza reportarlo, que hay chance que estos casos pasan con más frecuencia, pero solamente que no nos hablen cuando pasa, porque no quieren, no les da vergüenza o son gente casadas y no quieren dar el reporte, pero para mí es algo que es posible que pasa con más frecuencia que nosotros nos demos cuenta. Sure. The question is how frequently are these things happening? I mean, look, I could certainly see a scenario where I think these things are probably happening more often than what we're told. I think in some instances people may be embarrassed by the fact that they got catfished into a situation where they got assaulted or robbed, or even worse. And I think it's in some situations it may be that they may be married to somebody and they don't want the information to come out. For whatever reason, I can certainly see scenarios where people would not want to report this stuff when it happens. But again, if you don't report it when it happens, we're never going to be able to hold somebody accountable and make an arrest like this, and it's going to keep happening. And so again, the takeaway from this would be for me, people should not use these sites to try to meet somebody. It's just a bad start to any sort of relationship. But additionally, you're putting yourself at risk for just bad things happening, assaults, sexual assaults, robberies, murders even. And again, you're also putting yourself in a position where you may be jeopardizing a job or a marriage or another relationship just for the sake of trying to meet somebody for a good time. Any other questions?
One, but it's for another topic.
Okay, you want to wait? You want to wait till we're done? Okay, sure. I'll come back in a little bit. Okay, thank y'all so much.